city, if he's knowing, it either changes his offer plan or he does the outside of the building appropriately, so.
You know, I think when people call my office and they talk to me about the downtown, I'll tell them. You know, my staff will tell them. They normally pass those phone calls down to me just because I'm the one that deals with the historic corridor in the office. You know, but in this particular case, I never spoke to Mr. Robinson. I mean, the realtor, he must have just dealt with the realtor and purchased it and went on. And I don't know that, I'm not sure what realtor it was, but, you know, maybe they weren't familiar with it. You know, obviously word of mouth to any realtor in town, but then again, you don't always deal with a realtor in town. I mean, it could be easily on the MLS and a realtor out of town, and
It was.
you know, and the closing could just be that day that they come into town, and that's it. So I'm all for any suggestions. Like I said, anybody who calls the office, we try to let them know way up ahead of time.
Well, and if I may interject here, and Scott's already said he erred here, I think the big error was not contacting the area planning.
Yeah, absolutely. I own that 100%.
You can't go anywhere and do anything without a building permit.
And it was one of those, it literally just didn't dawn on me
Yeah.
until I talked to Casey and she gave me the information and I went, you've got to be kidding me, Scott. Why didn't you make this phone call first?
If somebody walks into her office though for a
Absolutely.
building permit, they usually have the plan, and
That's right.
then she can give them a whole lot of information.
That's right. And I'll be honest with you, Councilman, the realtor was from Kokomo, and so
Well, I know they do anything in COVID.
we do, we do, absolutely. We're the heathens of the bunch.
Good night's got privilege.
That's true, he does. So it was Mr. Wyman out of Kokomo, and so I looked back through that contract to find out if there was any mention of anything I could or could not do to the facade, and there was none. So I don't think the realtor knew, and therefore, you know, Marvin's certainly not going to inform me whether he knows or didn't know. That's not for his place to tell me. So it was just something that I don't think Casey could have done anything to do
No,
this.
I wasn't casting any
Right.
aspersions on Casey's office.
Right.
John, do local realtors know if they get a listing downtown that, is there something that tells you to put it in the listing that it's in a historical district? Some special.
Our office, quite honestly, we do, I cannot speak for other offices. And that's just what's going on. I honestly, you would have to ask another office. I don't know.
You know, we just updated our website for the city, just about ready to launch a new website. We probably ought to have some notation on there to that effect. We could take a look at that.
Well, yeah, all of that information with the new website, we certainly have the opportunity to
Capability
place all
to
of
do
it.
that. Yeah.
We can maybe, make something for the realtors to notify the other offices. I mean, it's just a click of it is a click on the computer to send it to all the offices.
I'm thinking, didn't we have, when we started this conversation, didn't we have some kind of a one-page flyer that we,
I created a brochure for the RDP when we were talking about it.
could we, do you still have them?
Sure.
Not sure I believe that.
Somewhere. I'm sure it's somewhere.
Maybe if we can resurrect
Sure.
pieces of it, then
Yeah.
maybe we can throw something, between you and I, we can throw something together that we could send out.
Good.
And initially, it was supposed to be that if she got a question, it would
Yes.
come to us,
Yes.
and we'd either approve it or pass it on before it even got to this point.
Yeah, it's
It
kind of
wasn't supposed
morphed.
to happen this way.
Right, it's kind of morphed a little bit. But if we
Basically,
could
the
do.
council will be making their recommendation based on our review, but it's not happened, so.
Well, but it goes a long way for somebody like Scott to look on the website or someplace and say, oh, they have a downtown historical corridor. I have to be concerned with that, or I have to take the steps.
And then we can steer it from that point, we can steer communications to whichever direction, RDP, Casey's office, and that. But if we can do, yeah, I mean, certainly we can do it on the website once we get it. That's an easy fix.
And I think the message for everyone, Casey, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's very little you can do without a building permit, correct?
Yeah, I mean, basically, any work under $1,500 doesn't require one, but, I mean, that's very menial
Yeah, that's
work.
blinking an eye.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially in the commercial corridors.
Right.
Guys, the question is looking at the picture here. A two-part question is Casey, he talked about had some prior owner may have started some work. Would there have been a permit for that start of the work that's never got finished that you know of?
Well, the city never required a building permit for siding or windows when you just replace the same size window, which they still don't. If you replace the same size window with the same size, your code doesn't require a permit. Replacing a roof, whether it's shingles or metal, it still doesn't require a permit, building permit for that. Your aesthetic code, however, this code that we're talking about tonight, changed that in your historic downtown area to where, it actually specifically says the roof it cannot be metal. You know, it says you cannot put metal in that district. You have to have masonry material, follow the historic content, of the structures. So the amendment to the building ordinance was specific to the historical corridor, and that required permits for any kind of siding, window replacement, and roof, whereas the rest of the city, you don't. So it was never there until you guys put this amendment in there.
And of course, there are a couple of buildings downtown that are grandfathered from the historical corridor requirement. One being right across the street from Scott, so I can kind of see how he might have been a little confused. Yeah, it's the situation. Any other?
What year was the
discussion?
building built?
I could not tell you, honestly. I do believe it was in the 50s, but I do not know that actually.
Is it masonry or is it wood?
I believe it's wood. I mean, the wood front, I don't know what's underneath the back two sides metal-wise, but inside the building, we are a block building. So the metal or the block then has the wood on the front and the side, and then, I'd like to put the metal in there just for aesthetic purposes only, and to protect that wood from rotting away.
I think Bob Kaywood had a gas station there. We're going way, way back.
Well, I mean, if it had,
That's what I was trying to
if it
remember.
had architectural detail in that initial masonry, that'd be worth preserving.
Correct.
But if it's a concrete block building
No, that's
with no historic relevance, then I'd probably, I don't think anybody would really have a problem with improving a building that way, but you're not gonna be able to strip it down to cement block and make it look any better than it does now.
No, I
So-
mean, it's literally just going to be block, so at that point, we're just a block building. And again, I have no problem with a block building,
It's
if
showing
I can paint it.
concrete block building, 47.
47?
1947, yeah. It was just a
Says
standard
concrete
cement block.
if that is accurate.
Well, if there isn't any discussion, do I have anybody that would care to make a motion?
I move we let Mr. Robinson finish in the metal that was started.
I'll second
It's been moved and seconded to let Mr. Robinson proceed ahead under a deviation situation. And I would call for a vote, signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead, Scott.
Thank you very much.
I would suggest that you work closely with Casey.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely will. Thank you very much for your time.
that.
It's
Love
good
the
seeing you
Rochester.
again.
You too.
Okay, and we've got Gene from the American Legion. Manners.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, good to see you again too, Gene.
Yeah, same here. I haven't seen you for a while. But again, it's that time of year where I know it seems early to be looking at the 4th of July and the fireworks, but if we don't get started on it a little early, we'll never get paid for it type thing. So I'm again using the same company that's done it now, I don't know how many years, but the last 3 years I know of because I'm involved in it. It's RKAM Fireworks. They're out of Michigan. Like everything else, like the gas prices did around here, it's gone up again this year, because of they say because of the Chinese and, raising the prices on the fireworks, I guess. But anyway, that being said, it doesn't matter, we've gotta get it, we need to get it organized. I contacted the city here, and I contacted the airport,
Excuse me.
the fire department, and to find out if the date would work for them. For the last 3 years, we've been having it on the 3rd. That way people that attend have the next day off. This year, it's, in the middle of the week. So, and it doesn't conflict with Akron or Kiwanis, the other two in the county that has the fireworks display. So it seemed to be working pretty well. I haven't fielded any complaints about it. I don't know about anyone else, but
So
I
the
guess
date will be when, Gene?
Pardon?
The date will be when?
The 3rd, July the 3rd.
Okay.
Rain date for July the 4th.
How much money are you trying to raise?
Well, they went up, it wasn't a great amount this year. Last year it was $9,000 for the fireworks. This year it'd be $9,450, $9,450.
And that's because of the tariff battle with Trump and China?
I think maybe I can have something to do with it.
Still have this in our budget.
Yours is
5.
Yeah. We got 5 in our budget.
Yeah, and you guys were very generous last year, the city was, and allowed us $5,000. I'll make it work, we'll make that work, fundraise and do some other things, but it's agreeable to that.
Well, we have it in the budget,
Yeah,
but
it's
I
in the
would,
budget.
I would entertain a vote for the record.
I'll move to make the city donation of $5,000 to the Rochester fireworks.
Smith made the motion and Goodman seconded. Those in favor? And it's unanimous.
Thank you very
You're
much.
off to the races, buddy.
We look forward to it again this year.
Well, and I know you've done it now. You're going on your 3rd year now.
Third year, yes.
Thank you so much for doing
Yes,
it. That ball has been tossed around a lot over the years, and I'm real grateful to see the Legion do it, and I think it's very appropriate.
well, it is, any of our veterans associations, involved in it is appropriate. And that includes, we have 2 of them here in town, the American Legion and the EFW, which I happen to be a member of both, and very active in both of them. And so I have a little advantage when it comes to trying to pull some of that off today, so.
Well, again, thank you, and thank you for your thank you for your service.
And thanks to the city. Thank you. I'll get you.
Okay, we've got Valerie Gillespie here with the Leadership Academy. Oh, my gosh.
It's cool, it's me, but it's a group.
You travel with bodyguards.
So it looks.
Well, welcome.
Well, thank you for having us. My name is Valerie Gillespie. I'm the business manager for the school here in town. I'm gonna let everybody go around and introduce themselves.
Jeremy Hankerthorn, I work here in town in Fort County. I'm a Lyman County resident. I work here.
Welcome, Jeremy.
My name's Corbin Benting. I work at Pike Lumber in Akron.
Mac Delcutt, plant metallurgist, Rochester Metal Products.
So we're participating in the Fulton County Leadership Academy that is put on by the Extension Office. And through that program, we are challenged with an opportunity to do better for the community. And we sat down. We, as a group, there's about 20 to 25 of us in a group. We identified needs throughout the county, and then from there, we picked one that was of special interest to us. We're missing one tonight, but a member at Chelsea's with, at the bank here in town.
First Federal.
Thank you. And so I provided, or Jeremy, I should say, provided a flyer of what our project is that we selected, and it's currently, it's called a signage opportunity. So right now on Old 31 north of town, on the second page has a picture of what's currently in place as the Welcome to Rochester sign. It's old, it's literally a fence way up high with some signs attached to it of different organizations throughout the community and back in the day. I'm sure it looks great, but right now at this point, a lot of the signs are faded and it has a lot of opportunity.
It also references the Rochester Chamber of Commerce, which to my knowledge doesn't exist, so it's no longer accurate.
Just says where you're at.
So, yeah, and it's a little bit out of town, it's in between the bowling alley and the LP station there, so we're looking at some options of enhancing it, and what had come to mind as an opportunity is this third page, if you flip over to the next, is right next to the Rochester Lions building, off of Old 31. That there's, a bearing area where we're learning is city property, which is why we're here, and looking at an opportunity to put something, maybe take the tree that looks like it's partially dying down, kind of put it out of its misery, and place something in that area in front of the utilities. So it might be a
Did you hit that, Randy, when you were mowing?
It looks like it's well cared for, that somebody's trying to ease it along, but at the same time, it's a win-win. So putting something in front of those utilities, and then working with Cassie as far as for what our allowances and things like that. And she said that she's also provided you a diagram of what the opportunities are. So next up comes from, so of course, if you build it, it will cost money. So through that program, our goal was to not make something that costs money and then somebody else has to figure it out. We represent organizations where we've gone out and we've secured local donations. I don't want to name them yet since the project isn't official and things like that, but and then with that continuity of the signage, we're working with RDP as far as, what would work to provide that continuity and streamline and just, encompass Rochester. There's other signs that have gone in, are going in, are in the plans and works, and we're working with those players as well to provide an asset that would combine all of the
Well, that's fine, but I would also suggest you include these service clubs that are represented, because that was the original intent. I don't want to say welcome to Rochester, but we have these service clubs that are active in the community. And I do believe, and I'm sorry to say I go back this far, those service clubs paid for the signage.
Okay.
So they are an excellent place to go visit and talk with.
Thank you.
You bet.
I know the Kiwanis Club paid.
Yeah. I hate to admit it, Marty, but I think you and I were young enough to help put those signs up back then.
That's true. Might be why it looks the way it
Well, yeah.
It looks weird.
I gotta tell you, I'm real proud it lasted this long.
There you go. So what like I said, we've come before the city council tonight to obtain permission to move forward, place this sign on the city grounds. We're gonna, from there, if and when we receive approval, then we'll work with RDP to finalize the final design of what that looks like, incorporating those other entities as well. Submit it to Hardesty Printing here in town to generate a finished product, and then we'll install it at the approved location. and probably also working with Public Works to make sure that that's all where as it should be as well.
Now, am I making a wrong assumption, but would you be taking the old sign down?
Correct.
That would be,
Out with the old and with the new. Or classic, I should say, out with the classic and with the.
thank you.
Thank you. Truly.
You feel better?
No. I appreciate the effort, but it didn't change. No, I appreciate the effort.
Actually, I think it was a very cold day, if I remember. No.
They walk uphill both ways, snow blowing.
Well, Attorney Perkins, is there anything you need to throw out for us to consider with the city property being involved?
I don't think so. If it's the city property, then special concerns. It's easier than making a request of someone else and putting these in there. Sure, so, no.
Okay. Any questions?
I will say that the Lions Club building is there, and the group has already come and talked to the Lions Club about basically not on our property, but sharing of the property essentially. And the Lions members were all in favor of it, so I don't think there's an issue there.
We've seen a lot of positive things come out of the Leadership Academy prior to this, and I think it's a great project. It's kind of an embarrassment the way the signage is currently, so I would make a motion that we approve the concept and have them move forward. We will see a finished project.
Absolutely.
And allow it in the right of way.
I was just gonna
Yes.
say depending on where they place it, according to Casey, if you choose to move it to the west, and it's actually on the property, it would require a permit, so would you guys be willing to entertain a permit waiver in the future for the project?
That
if
was
it moves?
included in my motion. Did you not hear that? I'm sorry.
I hear the bell ring.
I'll speak up next time, Sean.
Marty, I go through that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Smooth, Marty.
Very nice,
That was
very nice.
smooth. You handled that pretty well, didn't you?
Sean, we
That
don't,
was
they
definitely in there.
don't really want it to the west, do they? They want it in the right of way.
Most
so
likely,
people can see.
Yes, I'm just saying, based on the way Casey presented, where the line is, just in case it happens to fall more over this direction, over that right-of-way line. I just want to make sure that if Casey deems that they do need to seek a permit, we would waive that permit fee in the future for that project.
Well, we don't want to be
Right.
we don't want to be in a utility area either.
Right. Well, I don't think there's
There's
fiber and we have a water line running down through there.
I said there are utilities all in that right of way. It's a yarn ball underneath there. So before the sign goes in, whoever puts
Definitely
it
do it
in
one
definitely
more.
needs to get locates done and be very
Yeah.
careful digging.
Yeah,
So
Do you
absolutely.
have an idea on the dimensions of your sign?
4x8 would be the finished
4x8.
sign.
So they may be
Overall height
for the
is
west.
probably gonna be 8 to 10 feet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not totally correct.
You know, the last time we had a sign take out fiber optics, there were ATM machines down in South Bend. We definitely don't want to go
Well,
there.
and that was the reason I wanted to bring that up, because if knowing that there are all those utilities through there, you may be going more west into the property as opposed to in the right of way. So I will include your specifications.
Scott would appreciate that,
The
wouldn't
other
he?
direction.
I'm sorry, no, the
West
right
is-
of west is towards the building.
We're looking the other way.
Oh, I thought, here, let me look at the picture myself, you're going that way with the sign.
Would the height of
There are
that
some days.
obstruct that small turn there?
I think we'll be far enough back off the road.
You'll be
It'll
far
okay.
Mm-hmm.
We checked that out last night.
I took a few pictures, when I pulled out, I was going north so I could get a picture of the classic sign. And I should have included that in as a point of reference.
Understand the classics.
Casey,
That's quite a ways.
is that right of way, is that just utilities, or is it city right of way, or NDOT right of way?
Thank you, Frank. No problem.
No, it's all north of, well, actually, if you look at the photo, the heavy black line is the city limit line. That is the city limit, so the east half of Old 31 would be county right of way. The west half would be city on Main Street, whatever you want to call it, Old 31. But no, actually, Old 31 was all dedicated to the county
Okay.
when the new US 31 went in.
Okay.
So it's either county or city.
So one less.
Yes, you do not have that entity to deal with.
Okay, do we want to revise your motion or?
No, I got it, we're good.
Motion good, okay. There's a motion on the table and it's been seconded. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. And okay, it's passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Gorgeous.
Contingent on the fee.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the tax abatement renewals. The first up would be American Axle. David Byer here tonight.
No, I got an email this morning, he was unable to attend, so there was a letter laying on the dossier this afternoon on the bench from American Axle, kind of outlining the information that they would have presented this evening. If you recall, last year during the renewal process, President Goodman there had mentioned that there was a concern that they were not meeting their obligations as far as the number of employees that they had anticipated hiring and some growth. So that was just noted on their renewal last year. So they had provided some documentation to you for consideration as to where their position is and what they've done since 2014.
If you have not noted the letter, the historical points that are being made. In 2014, the business plan included machining carriers for the GM light duty and heavy duty trucks and vans. In 2015, due to unknown commercial issues at the time of the tax abatement, we were unable to move the heavy duty business to Rochester. This reduced the required plant manpower from what was planned for the commitment to a property tax abatement, for and committed to for the property tax abatement. And again, yes, Shada, you're right, that was a discussion at that time. The capacity increase for the light duty van business was completed in 2016. In 2018, we're saying carrier machining operations will be moved from Three Rivers, Michigan manufacturing facility to Rochester, which will increase future manpower. Based on the current information available, the van production continues through 2025. Okay, that's the light-duty van business. The heavy-duty production is the new GM truck platform and will continue through 2024. Current manpower is 41 hourly and 8 salary. Future manpower is 50 hourly and 8 salary. With the new carrier machining operation and other potential future business opportunities, we will continue to grow our capacity, investment, and manpower at our Rochester, Indiana facility. If I remember correctly, the original forecast for manpower was 60. Is that your recollection, Terry, by chance?
I was thinking it was 70, up in the 70s, 78, 77, 78.
Okay.
Oh, you know what, I haven't had paperwork right now. 66.
66.
Oh, wait, hold on. That was the real estate, which they did not, that was not approved. Oh, 66. Was what they had placed on their Form SB1 at the time of the request.
So do we know what the timeline is on this future manpower to go to 50
Well,
hourly?
I'm just wondering what their timeline is on the carrier machining operations in 2018. Not sure we know, are they doing that now?
2018 is all I've been told that we're hopeful it'd be here in 2018.
This capital investment for 2017 and 18 of 16.5 million, do you know how much of that's already done? How much is forecasted?
Is that from the original SB1?
No, this was from their letter.
I don't have that letter. I haven't seen that letter. I don't know.
Would it be inappropriate to ask them to come to a future meeting to answer some of these questions before? Is there a deadline for acting on this abatement?
Yes, it has to be filed by May 15th.
By May 15th.
Correct.
So and they couldn't make tonight's meeting.
Correct.
So it's not that word till, okay.
I will say it's a 5-year. This would be year 3, so 17 pay 18 was reduced to 60% for their personal property. And then year 4 is 40%, year 5 is 20%. So they're not getting a full 100% abatement. It is a reduced percentage. But again, I'm
The
not
abatement
sure.
was just on the new equipment.
Correct, yeah,
Yeah,
because they didn't qualify for the real
property.
estate.
I do know a year ago when I went in to visit them, they were, I should say, not nervous, but concerned about the fact they had not met their employment figures that they had forecasted. And a year ago, they were still running about the level they're running at now, so I don't believe they've increased any of that figure. It's up to the council.
Are we opposed to trying to have a special meeting to have them here?
Want to give them a chance to make an appearance?
It's up to you.
I think it'd be fair.
Would you be opposed to doing it during the day? It may be more feasible for them because I believe their administrative operations is in Fort Wayne. They're working with their Fort Wayne office in some capacity, so I'm not sure how, at least according to the gentleman that I spoke to regarding this when he was completing it. He said that they've got folks coming back and forth from Fort Wayne, so coordinating schedules.
If it were the only thing on the agenda, it wouldn't take all that long anyway, so.
Could even do it like at noon.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask, if you guys, we could look at
12
one day
o'clock.
next week. I would say, does 12 work for you, or should just 12:15 look okay, better?
That's fine.
Let's just.
It's all 15.
It's the first one.
Let's just, hammer that out right now. What, shouting, advertising, everything in a timely manner, if we did it like on Wednesday, the 2nd, how's that? How do y'all feel about the noon meeting Wednesday, the 2nd?
Marty, or Mason, will that work for you guys, because if you want us?
Well,
We're not presidents anymore, so.
So you're okay, you can be like the rest of us and play rogue and not go?
right.
And you probably could still make part of the meeting, yeah, so.
No, that'd be fine.
Okay.
Go there first.
We're gonna throw them away.
Okay, how about we have a special
Hey,
meeting
Marty,
next
I'm gonna toss a good thing
Wednesday,
down
the
that way.
2nd at noon here at the chamber. And we'll get with
Here at City Hall?
Here at City Hall.
Okay.
We'll communicate that to the
At 12
American
o'clock.
Axle folks, and tell them if they're interested in
What's our-
doing tax
The mayor's
abatement.
buying lunch.
Yeah,
Okay.
to be here to answer some questions. Yeah, I'll buy a bag of lunch.
Is this a one and done, or
Yeah.
they can't make this?
If they can't make this,
We don't get a
I'm
question.
don't
with
think
that,
they're
if
very
they have no
serious.
interest in showing to the meetings,
what do you guys think over there at that end? I mean, you're going above and beyond to have a special meeting. Sound right, Chase?
Okay, so special meeting, we're saying 5 to at 12:15.
And,
Yeah, I agree.
I'll buy lunch. So don't worry about missing your lunch.
Which means y'all make sure you let me know what you want.
Well, that's okay.
What time I gotta be here?
I'm
coming.
What kind
We have
of,
all kinds of needs back.
Behind us going, I'll be
well,
there.
wait for this. What kind of yogurt do you
Saturday.
Okay.
This week's Saturday.
I like fruit beers.
I like the Switzerland.
Okay, I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Okay.
Okay,
So I will reach out to Dale Wepler, who is their contact, and communicate that with him. I will let you know as soon as I hear back confirmation on that date, because if they don't confirm it, they're not able to be there.
We don't have to
No, we
meet.
don't.
Yeah.
We still get lunch.
No.
Well, no,
pretty
I
sure.
don't know, actually, I said you're wrong, I
Thank
think we
you.
would still need to meet.
Yes, we would need to
Because you will
meet.
still need to
Oh,
either
yeah,
approve
right.
it or deny it.
Right, you have to deny it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, fine.
And still get
Okay, you get lunch, Fitzwater, whatever, you get lunch. Okay, thank you very much. I think that's more than fair. Beacon Credit Union would be the next one. Do we have a representative from Beacon Credit Union here tonight?
They have not sent a representative the last several years.
That's
They're-
right.
They're down to, I believe this will be the last year. That's why I
Yeah.
sent the other Beacon Credit Union remaining, yeah.
I think we passed it last year because it was there next to their last year.
Yeah, 2009, they had it, next year, pay next year should be their last year. It'll be their 18, pay 19, will be their last, will be their 10th year. And I believe at this point, they've met
Yeah, they've consistently met
their obligations.
Any discussions? I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second that.
Moved by Smith, seconded by Goodman. Those in favor signify by raising your hand, and it's unanimous. Thank you very much. 2019 budget sessions. Chada, you want
Yeah, I
to
just.
spread the wealth?
I just want to get it scheduled so everybody has on their calendar well in advance of when you guys want to schedule our budget sessions with our department heads. You know,
We usually do it in July.
Typically, yes. Right now, I had, by April 30th, I had to submit to the DLGF our proposed public hearing and our proposed hearing, or, the public hearing and the adoption date. I sent down to the DLGF that our proposed public hearing date would be August, our August meeting, and our proposed adoption date will be September's meeting. So I have the budgets ready to hand out to department heads tomorrow at our staff meeting, so they will have that, and then the mayor has requested some time to sit down with each department head and review their budgets. So if you want to stick with July, if you want to go with June.
Do we need to do a little sooner than that, or?
July's fine. I don't have.
What
We really-
fits your schedule best?
Right, it's so
Is July
streamlined,
give you
yeah, it's
enough
pretty
time?
streamlined at this point. I will not meet with the DLGF with our preliminary information usually until July. So I may be able to get in
First part of
early,
July,
first part of
last part of
July with
July.
them if I can, so that I have, because that's usually our meeting to tell us whether we're facing, what kind of challenges we may or may not be facing based upon the proposed numbers that the department has given.
I'm gonna suggest we try for Tuesday, July the 10th. That is, a week, a little more than a week ahead of our regular city council meeting on the 24th.
Is that the second Tuesday of the month?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So that would be our
That's ours.
scheduled or
Yeah.
etched out. Now, my other question would be is, do you guys want to start this earlier in the day instead of running through an evening? You know, if we started, early afternoon, would you be opposed to that? Would you be able to do that? Your call. I was just throwing it out as an option.
Anybody,
Like how early?
like 5 o'clock?
Well, I was
I
thinking
mean,
actually.
5 o'clock's when we usually
Five's
start.
when we
Yeah,
usually-
I was thinking like maybe if we started at 3 o'clock, would that be too early for you guys?
Probably for me, I mean,
Okay.
I've got a lot going on.
Pinches you, doesn't
Yeah, well, and I knew, I knew Chase might have a challenge with that too, so like I said, I was just throwing it out.
Stick with 5 o'clock.
Stick with 5, okay. And that date is
The mayor
correct.
buys
We usually
pizza.
say-
Well, I have made a note, I've been keeping track, it's Fitzwater's turn to buy the pizza. I'll bring the pizza. Pizza.
Don't we usually set two nights or just one?
Well, so far, we've been able to get
We've
it all
been able
done
to
in
do it
one
on
night.
one, we
Yeah.
set our
Okay.
regular meeting
Mhm.
with, starting at 5, we do finish up the budget, and then we go to our regular session,
Okay.
if need be.
Mhm. So if you want to go ahead and do that, I can go and advertise both dates just in case, or, I mean, so far, historically, y'all have been pretty, y'all.
Let's do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have been able to get it through in the one night, but we can go ahead and prepare.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
go ahead.
advertise it that way, and
Okay.
if we don't need it, we don't
We've
need
got
it.
we've got a rhythm established, let's go ahead. Okay, thank you, Shauna.
You're welcome, thank you.
Do you want to go through this while Brian's here, or do we need to?
Move the ordinances. You got it all.
How many agendas did you send?
I sent a
It was an
revised,
updated agenda.
I did not send the change of the ordinances around, and you can thank Councilman Fitzwater for that one.
Councilman Fitzwater has to leave us early, so we're moving right to the ordinances and resolutions. We do have one ordinance, and it's 01-2018. It deals with a traffic code amendment involving Fulton Avenue and 13th Street. And Chief Schatz, if I could call on you to step up and talk about that ordinance change, or street traffic change, if you will.
Yeah, basically it's just putting a 3-way stop at 13th and Fulton. That's the main artery coming from Main Street onto the park, into the park. Right past the baseball fields, the pony field, the batting cages. Every year, we're getting complaints about speeders. And every year, we do what we can to keep it to a minimum, but the mayor and I talked about it, and maybe putting a 3-way stop right there, just an extra stop sign, might slow down some of that traffic. That was not a straight shot. I know there's a stop sign at Pontiac, but then that's it to Main Street if you're going east. So just something we threw out there, something to try anyway for a summer and see if it helps.
We've set police cars out there, we've set our traffic radars out there, tried to step up the patrols and make sure everything's running smoothly. And it's still not enough. And I mean, we had just an awful lot of children walking back and forth around that area. Just want to get people slowed down. So a
Yeah.
stop sign there would, I think, go a long way.
It could help, yeah. I could think of a few more spots also, but we'll start with this one, and 12th and Fulton probably wouldn't be a bad spot either, right there by the Babe Ruth Diamond heading towards Little League. That's a straight shot all the way from Park Road to, what is that, Jefferson?
Or is it Pontiac?
Yeah, but during the games, that's blocked
It
off.
is,
so
yeah.
Games, it's okay, but.
Yeah, I guess there is one at Pontiac right there. But anyway, start here and see how it goes.
So my question is, why wouldn't we just make it a 4-way stop? Why just a 3?
It's two roads.
Three there, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Fulton
Fulton-
is into 13
Yeah,
and
okay.
stops.
Right.
Having the guy stop who's on his lawnmower won't.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Brian,
That makes
make
more
you
sense,
happy.
thank you.
Now who's holding?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Chief.
That's why I watched mine.
I would entertain a motion to read ordinance 01-2018.
Make a motion motion for reading ordinance number 1-2018 by title only.
Do I have a second? Moved by Goodman to read ordinance 01-2018 by title only, and seconded by Miller. Those in favor? Okay. Would you do the honors?
Sure. Ordinance number 1-2018, an ordinance amending the traffic code.
Discussion. I would entertain a motion for a second reading.
I move for second reading by title only.
Moved by Fitzwater. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Garrett. Those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, sir.
Ordinance number 1-2018, ordinance amending the traffic code.
Okay, any discussion? I would entertain a motion then to we have to.
Or no,
You gotta do a third
reading.
no.
Want to suspend, yeah, want to suspend the rules on the third reading and entertain a motion to have the third reading
By title only.
by title only. Sure.
So moved.
Moved by Goodman, seconded by Heidi. Those in favor? Unanimous.
Ordinance number 1-2018, ordinance amending the traffic code.
Any discussion? I would entertain a motion to approve ordinance 01-2018.
Make a motion for the adoption of ordinance number 1-2018.
Moved by Goodman, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Heidi. Those in favor? And, okay, Andy, you've got your sign. When would that go up, Andy?
Talk to Lenny, I don't have them. We don't put them up.
Yeah, when was
Planning?
I'll show you where to put them.
Make sure Andy has a hammer.
Get his hard hat on.
Yeah, you bet. How quickly could we get that up?
By probably the first of next week.
Okay, that'll be
We've got to
time.
publish it before you can enforce it, so.
Send a shot that tells me when to put it
That's
up.
fine.
Okay, that'll be plenty of,
Oh, you put the sign.
that'll be plenty of time for the West to announce it in the newspaper. Correct?
Give people time to do that.
Okay, next item under ordinances and resolutions, we have a resolution. It's 04-2018, establishing state grants fund.
Yes. Actually, resolution 4 and 5, I'll just hit both of them at the same time. With us looking at, for instance, the MSRP grant that RDP has approached us with, moving forward with that, any other kinds of state or federal grants moving down the trail, rather than creating a new fund and making my general ledger just keep growing exponentially, I would prefer to have just two funds to deal with, one that is for state grants, one that is for federal grants. And then I can, within each one of those funds, I can identify revenues and expenses for each grant. I can also create projects within the fund to manage all of it. I would prefer to streamline it as much as possible and not have a huge mess in the GL system if I could prevent it. So that's what the resolutions are, is for you to grant me permission to create those two grant funds so that we can manage our grants as we move forward with it. And since Harry so graciously has started the ball rolling with the MSRP, I've got to have somewhere to receive the money.
Any questions for Shane? Then I would entertain a motion for reading of resolution 04-2018.
So moved in its entirety.
And a second.
Second.
Moved by Smith, seconded by Goodman. Okay, Councilman. For those in favor? Unanimous? Okay, you're up.
Resolution 4-2018, a resolution establishing the City of Rochester State Grants Fund. Be it resolved by the City of Rochester Common Council of Fulton County, Indiana, that a need now exists for the establishment of a state grants fund for the following purposes: to receive and expend any monies as related to state awarded grants. Be it further resolved that this fund will be used for the sole purpose of receiving and dispersing monies as they relate to any grant sponsored or supported by the state of Indiana. These may be awarded by such state agencies as, but not limited to, NDOT, the Indiana Department of Transportation, and OCRA, Office of Community and Rural Affairs.
I would entertain a motion for the vote, resolution 04-2018.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Those in favor of approving resolution 04-2018, and it's unanimous. Also, I would ask for a motion to read resolution 05-2018.
So moved by title only, since it reads identical to the other than federal versus state.
Okay. It's moved by Smith.
I'll second.
Seconded by Garrett. Those in favor? It's approved.
Resolution 5-2018, a resolution establishing the City of Rochester Federal Grants Fund.
Okay. Have a motion for the approval of resolution 05-2018.
So moved.
Seconded. Moved by Goodman, seconded by Heidi. Those in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Okay. You have to leave us?
Well, shortly, quarter after.
Okay. Okay, going down to the department reports, Fire Chief Butler.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For the month of March, structure fires, one in the city, one in Rochester Township. Calls for smoke, one in the city. Mutual aid fires, one in Liberty Township, one in Henry Township. Auto fire alarms, 2 in the city, 1 in Rochester Township. Dumpster fire, 1 in Rochester Township. Possible explosion, 1 in the city. Grass fires, 6 in Rochester Township, 2 in Liberty Township, 1 in Newcastle Township. And we assisted Liberty, or Wabash County. Gas leaks, 1 in the city. Accidents, 3 in the city, 3 in Rochester Township, 1 in Richland Township. Medical assist, we had 9 in the city, drove the ambulance once, 13 Rochester Township, 2 Richland Township, 1 Newcastle Township. We had 1 rescue in the city. Canceled calls, had 1 in the city, 3 in Rochester Township, 2 in Newcastle Township, 1 in Liberty Township, 1 in Henry Township. Total of 60 calls and 1 drill. Pending your questions, that concludes my report.
Anybody questions for Tom?
Would like to acknowledge too, we did have a retiree, Dan Melton, did officially retire this month from the fire department with 29 years of service.
Have we, Tom, have we established when his celebration will be?
I'm going to try to have the axe and have him out at the station the first Monday for our drill night when I have all the guys out there. Also too, if you go by the fire station, you notice I do have the state live burn trailer. We are going to utilize that the first Monday of the month for drill. If you want to come out as a group, we could fire that up. If you want to experience a controlled fire simulation, this is the place to do it. We would give you coveralls, hood, helmet, and we could let you go any kind of feel. And we could possibly, if I knew in advance when you were coming, we could have a couple guys and show you what an interior attack looks like. We won't smoke it up real bad.
It's an experience.
Yeah, I think you've attended, Chase has been through it, but it's something to kind of experience that heat and feel that fire roll over your head when you're trying to extinguish. So, just let me know, he said it should be here for the next 30 days. Monday night coming up, a week from yesterday, we're gonna do a train the trainer for all the instructors in the county. So each department can come and utilize this and do their own training. And like I said, we're gonna utilize it for sure the first Monday of the month. So if you wanna come out and observe and see what's going on, we'll probably go live about 7 o'clock. We start drill at 6:30. We normally conduct some business and then we'll go live with fire training.
Casey, this is the part where I take your role at hand. These guys aren't covered, these folks aren't covered by insurance if they go out and go through the fire simulation situation, would you think?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That was a mirror
Yeah,
right there.
You know, that was an answer right there. Yeah.
Well, here, this is normally what happens. Usually Marty looks at me for the answers, so this was the first time I was able to look back and get the answer from him.
You know, I'm not saying it's not a safe venture, but I mean, heart attacks and things happen,
We have AEDs.
so. That's true. You're right, that's why.
Yeah, the ambulance right next door.
Thanks, Tom, appreciate it. If you would, Tom, if you wouldn't remember, shoot us all, make sure all of us get an email on Dan's party that I'm sure he would appreciate anyone from his council who would stop by to wish him well. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, I'm gonna jump here because you're gonna have to leave us pretty quickly here. Would you like to give us the report, Brian, then for the tree board and EMS?
No EMS report.
Oh, that's quick. Okay.
Well, it is because we haven't met
Yeah.
quarterly.
Okay.
Tree board met at April 5th. Our new member is Eric Binninger. He replaced his veteran Rob. Eric brings works from DNR, a lot of information, but plant diseases, bugs that attack them. So rather than saying, yeah, we drive down the street now and say whether that tree is or isn't bad, or it was just bad pruning.
He's a wealth of knowledge,
Sure
isn't
he
he?
is. So he's certainly a welcome addition. There's been applications for new tree removals and trimmings coming in. Once the trees start to bud out, we're looking at all the ones that went in last year or two on Main Street. There was one incident, I think it was last year, where a farmer didn't know that he was spraying Roundup as he's going down the street. But just happened to have one of our guys just happened to see it, talk to them, they're gonna take care of any damage from that, so. We're working on that. Looking at the Tree City recognition, we received the materials, and Tree Board President was then here to talk to Lenny about the cleaning the signs. They are, rather than replacing them every year, or getting new stickers for them, so we're working on that and trying to save a little bit of money and make them look better at the same time. That was about it for the Tree Board. Next meeting will be the third of May.
Any questions for Councilman Fitzwater? I would say, Brian, if you could make a note for Sunday, May the 20th at 2:15, if you're available, that's when the next mayor's walk is going to be, Sunday, May the 20th. The walk this last weekend on Sunday, we had about a dozen people join us for the walk on the west side, the southwest side of town, around back up to Main Street. And it was very interesting, and I'm going to ask one of the tree board members to accompany us also. It's amazing seeing what the big old trees are doing to our sidewalks. So it's good to see it firsthand. It's a little hard to notice when you're driving by, but I would appreciate it if you take your look at your schedule and see if you'd be available to walk with us.
So you're gonna be going through precinct 3 then, or?
Yeah, we'll be touching precinct 3, yeah.
Do you know the route yet, or is it still to be determined?
Does it make a difference?
Well, if you don't pick part of
I thought you walked.
anything
You
north of
mean if
High
these
Street.
people aren't potentially able to vote for you, you don't want to walk?
Yeah, because I'm on the Tree Board.
You're the representative.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll have to check and see.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. You can't hand out any cards, vote for me, okay? Until next year. Okay, that brings us to Chief Shots. Feel free to leave.
Yeah, I apologize. I let Shad and the mayor know that I do need the Lions Club has our annual elections tonight, and I sort of need to run the whole thing, so. I can
Go
go
to it.
for that.
Okay.
Get her done.
Yep. Good luck.
No offense, Brian. For the month of March, we had a total of 15 accidents. All of those were personal property damage, no personal injury. We issued 47 warnings. 16 of those were for city ordinances. We are hitting it hot and heavy, and we haven't even touched the grass season yet, so we are.
You know, that was impressive, Chief, with the walk. Officer Woods walked also, Ben. And we earmarked several properties that needed some attention. And I was happy to see that Officer Wood had the citation book along, and 3/4 of them had already been cited and contacted. So it's good work, good job.
Thanks. We had a total of 78 offenses, with 30 of those being traffic, 45 criminal, 2 juvenile, and then 1 city ordinance. 50 total case reports, 586 calls for service, 28 lockouts, 9 towed vehicles, and 32 people incarcerated. Next meeting, I'll have a breakdown as far as the first quarter of this year compared to the first quarter of last year. I know our numbers are up, definitely, especially the number of people that we've lodged and the number of meth arrests. Those are up. If you look, for the month of March, the crimes people were lodged for, we had 11 people lodged for possession of meth. So our day shift guys are busy hitting ordinances, and our night shift guys are out there looking for the drugs. So they're doing a good job of it too. As far as the hiring process, we did have testing 2 Saturdays ago. 7 people showed up, only 3 passed the test. At this point, we've decided the only person that we are going to move forward with is Mike Atkins, who's a deputy for the Sheriff's Department. He wants to come over and work for us. So we're going to take him in front of the Board of Work, probably after speaking with Shaw, probably the next meeting in 2 weeks. So we're going to move forward with him and anticipate everything going smoothly. And that's about all I have, unless you guys have any questions.
Appreciate that. And by the way, at night, in their spare time, these guys are looking for street lights that are out, like tie a
That's right.
special ribbon around them, and then Lenny comes around the next day and gets the information and reports to do.
Literally.
Okay,
Same one with the doors.
Marcus could not be with us tonight, so we'll let Derek. Late. Yeah, Derek's on vacation.
He decided he didn't want to come cover his life.
He was working over at 15th Street today, and they were quite late. They got it taken care of, and he's taking the night off. Lenny brings you to the forefront.
Hello.
Hello. Okay.
Out at the street department, we've been cleaning up the northwest corner of the wastewater treatment plant as where we've been dumping our brush and concrete. We got all that leveled off and smoothed out. It looks 100% better. We've been chipping brush and picking up small piles of brush as spring has sprung finally, I think, and people have been out doing busy work in the yard and picking up bulk and bag leaves, yard debris, sweeping the streets, trying to keep the storm drains clean on top, maintaining trash route downtown, and patching the streets. And that's what's going on in the street department. Anybody got any questions about that?
What was happening on Main Street in front of Napa?
It was putting in 2 new valves, I said, to my knowledge.
Yeah, we're replacing 2 valves on the water main there at the corner. Water department.
Yeah, they had leaks down, I think, on there. Yeah. But, out at the park, we hired 2 new part-time guys, and they started today. We started mowing east of town and been mulching up leaves around the city park. All the restrooms are open with the exception of Fansel Park due to some remodeling issues that we still got going on. I guess about I'd give it about a couple more weeks and that bathroom should be open and functional. As we're putting new petitions in and painting it and giving it a little facelift so it's more presentable and ADA compliant. Out at the disc golf course, we got that number 11 basket and number 6 on the sleeve system today. As we can move that up and down, and we'll be doing that tomorrow on number 17 as they have ball practices in winter to accommodate them to things. And picking up sticks and blowing the leaves away from it, it's all mounted, just basically trying to get things looking nice for the public.
Would you like to announce who your part-time individuals are that were hired?
We hired Jim Swank and Gavin Woodcox, and they will be working 29 hours each. And they will be working full-time and part-time.
And you had one resignation this past week, correct?
Yes, on the street department, we had a guy that, he moved on to work at a factory around the town here. And so after 3 years, he left and did that job, so, which I think will suit him quite well, and I wish him all the best.
Okay. Any questions for Lenny? Thank you very much. Park season will be here before we know it, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Please, Randy. Projects, Randy Williams.
Well, on the 4th Street project, Mayor Schott and I met with Jeremy from Donahue, and we went over the easements, then we went out and we marked the backside of the sidewalk where it's gonna be placed for a couple of the landowners, so they got a better idea of where it was gonna be. 7th Street, Burkeye come in last week, they removed the concrete and reset the manhole. They compacted the stone, they blacktopped it, and they also seeded and put straw down on the NIPSCO property, so we're waiting on the as-built prints so we can finish that job. The 7th Street parking, the survey's been done. I'm waiting on a lighting quote and a quote from an excavating company to come in and work on that. City Hall, the old generator and tank's been removed. We're meeting with, I met with DJ from D&D Electric and Duke Energy last week to coordinate the installation of the new transformer and pole. So, and that went pretty well. Then we're gonna meet with NIPSCO, because NIPSCO, well, DJ's working with NIPSCO because of the meter placement in the back of the building. We gotta work out moving it some more, because it's gonna be too close to the power lines coming in. We turned to compost, and the sledding hill will get fenced within the next couple of weeks.
Okay. And the county has picked up several loads of compost?
They picked up 2 rows, yeah.
Okay. The county has, they've come and asked us for some compost for the use at the park up north of town, the old landfill. So, yeah, gave them some compost. So, any other questions for Randy?
On the 7th Street parking, Randy, is there any talk at all on those utility poles in the parking lot, whether any of those will be removed or not?
No, they're on private property.
They're on
The 3
private
poles
property.
are on private property. The building owners are on their property. If you go behind the buildings, you'll see pink paint, or spray painted pink with pins, that's the survey markers. So everything from the survey marker north to the next survey markers is the cities, and from them going south is the building owners.
Does Marty own one of them?
Yeah.
As he's sitting here thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Huh.
So, okay.
Kick that around, you might be an opportunity to get those put underground or something. Rather than, I don't know.
Well, are they electric or telephone?
Electric. They're electric, but they also got,
Get transformers on.
no, they're Comcast.
Sure, everybody's used them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because we looked at it when the surveyor and I was out there the other day.
Well, I knew you'd been back there, so
Yeah.
I suppose they were back there when that little boarding house was building was back behind our building. I mean, we never put that pole in, but you remember when there used to be a little, everybody building behind our building?
Was that when we put the Welcome to Rochester?
No, it was way on our comments, but
Okay, well, you know, it could be an opportunity to sit down and talk about getting those, if the other owner would like to get rid of them and put everything underground, if it can be done. Because you're right, that's sure, they're not real beautiful laying out there, sitting out there, yeah.
I never knew that, I mean, I knew our property line went out, but I didn't know those poles were ours. Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions for Randy?
Would those be identified in the utility easement with the survey? Casey?
What do you think?
I'd have to see the survey and pull the plat, but it's possible that there's a utility easement behind that, but I doubt it because that's all part of the old plat of the city of Rochester, and there weren't utility easements in that language, which I just read last week, so that's why it's fresh in my memory, but, so, yeah.
It could be about anything. I know years ago, when I was the personnel manager out at Torrance, we had a pole in the middle of our parking lot. And we had an occasion to inquire public service at that time what it was, and they said, oh, well, that was a pole that was put in for a temporary service when there was an addition being put on the Indiana Metal. We quit using it and just gave it to you. So it could very well be something like that. You just acquired the ownership.
Here, we gifted this great big pole.
And then, you know,
I might back into it, I don't know.
Well, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, you as an insurance man, it doesn't come into play till it rots and falls on somebody's car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a little looking into that. Check with Casey.
That's it there.
Yeah. Anything else for Randy?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, down to special reports by committee members, Derby Planning Commission, Karen.
I have no information, we have no meeting.
Any questions? Karen? Thank you. Okay, Betco, Brian Goodman.
All right, thank you, Matt.
Terry, you just adjusted.
That's hard to get up.
I know, I saw it.
Thank you, Matt. Reporting a checking account balance of $9,699.23, operating reserve $72,574.60. The board did approve to go forward with the contract with the county, the same contract with the city. Then that launched us into a lengthy discussion about the bylaws. And we are amending the bylaws. We are changing the seats on the executive committee. The executive committee will contain a county commissioner, county council person, city council person, and the mayor. Those are specifically written in, and then it will consist of 4 other seats. We're in a unique position where a council member is also a business owner and a council member. So we've written language in there to account for that as well.
Call that the Goodman clause.
Sure. Terry was set to meet with Phil Ollinger of the county to go over the work plan and look for any possible changes. We spoken to see how that went. There are currently 2 open board seats, and at this time, we do not have a vice president. And I think that's gonna be an issue because I think we need a vice president to sign an agreement with the city. Since I'm the president of the council, I can't sign it as both entities. So we're gonna need a VP. But we'll work on that. Going down, Terry, I'm sure, did you go? I'll get Terry's monthly report. Did we get that out?
I'm gonna have the council, the county commissioners meeting coming up first part of May. I'll have it for the last 3 months for everyone's.
So I'll just touch on a couple. Frank Bowley asked for an extension on the 4th Street property. It's granted. We have since received his check and the signed agreement, so that's all good. Dean's Foods, we've had a couple of good leads on the facility, but they maintain it's not for sale. But that could change, which is what we've been hearing for several months. They're in a tight spot and they're still analyzing their options. They've sent out 90-day letters to numerous farmers that they're not buying their milk anymore. So that's kind of a big development. One other thing I wanted to mention, it was reported by Matt Sutton, Rapid View was approached by the Central South Carolina Economic Development Group about moving their operation there. They offered to find people, train them, and have them ready to work when they would reopen up there. So just kind of let you know that we're trying to poach from us as well. That's pretty much all I have at this point. I mean, the reports were the same, businesses up across the board. I do want to mention though, there's Tippy Valley High School is holding a job fair. May 10th from 2 to 6. Any of your questions? That's all I have.
I should throw out at this point too that last week Sean and I were at an AIM meeting, the former IAC, Indiana Association of Cities and Towns, now AIM, and there were about half a dozen mayors from northern part of the state in attendance, and one that stuck out in my mind was the mayor of Elkhart, who reported that they are at 2.8% unemployment level. Terry, you agree, once you get below 3, you're practically 0, really.
Yeah, 2.8 is unheard of.
Yeah.
Even below 4. 4 is below employment.
Makes a lot of sense, the people we're talking to. That's completely washed there of people. So these folks are out making economic development trips and trying to poach. They're also trying to poach people to get people to relocate. So,
well, that still remains an issue for everyone in this area. I know we have trouble finding people.
well, I mean, everybody's in that boat. That is a resource right now that is real short.
I met today with the automation company.
Oh, really?
That's how bad it's been.
Okay, any questions for Brian? Terry, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, on the executive committee, Brian mentioned the changes. One of the things that we have on our agenda for our first executive committee involving the 2 county officials and the 2 city officials is a discussion of what an application for Stellar communities might look like. You guys should be familiar with Stellar. So we're going to start at that level of, I guess, the FEDCO board with the president of the council, president of the commissioners, and then the mayor and then county council to see what we, because it really should be not just a city application probably, but a county application with the city as a co-applicant. So we'll see what kind of common ground we have to look at a 2019 Stellar application, something like the downtown partnerships, Main Street revitalization program, Safe Routes to School grant that I'll talk about in a minute, fold into that. So we'll see what we have to work with there. On a small business development side, we did make a $75,000 loan in the last 30 days, which enabled us to show USDA that we had spent down the money from our loan pool. So we'll be applying pending the executive committee's acquiescence this Thursday for another $99,000 for our loan pool. That would put us, we've loaned out now over $400,000 through that program. Folks from Plymouth Economic Development came down to us last week and wanted to meet and talk about that program because they want to duplicate our success that they've had, especially in the Culver area. Some discussion of how we might partner with, or maybe even extend our program across the county line to Culver to help with business planning, and then maybe some the loan program in Culver. That might be part of a future application to stellar discussion. We also are involved in the potential makerspace and an incubation and co-working space project that'll be on Main Street. If everything works out, I'm working with Chris Van Dyne to try to bona fide some revenue for his business plan, working with the current owners on the EPA grant so they can clear phase 1 and phase 2 without any out-of-pocket space. And then if we move forward with it, Chris will be asking for a 5-year property tax abatement most likely, so that'll be forthcoming within a couple of months at least, or at the worst actually. We didn't start another business planning class. We have 12 individuals, 8 companies represented in that started I think 3 weeks ago. On Boley, he was here a week and a half ago to actually pay the second piece of the earnest money on the purchase contract. He'd been in the area looking at how he might equip the facility. He hasn't said or hasn't determined whether or not he'll break ground in 2018, but it does intend to go forward with the purchase of the ground and the expansion of a new business there if everything bears out. On Dean's, Brian, you talked about the leads that we've had from Dean's. I've had 3 in the last 5 days. I've had a call from New Jersey, had an email from Minnesota, which, you know, food manufacturers mostly that are looking for that type of building. All I can really do is get those leads to the folks that we know in Dallas. But I do actually now have from one of the FedCo board members a local lead, a producer that represents a potential cooperative of producers that might be interested in local ownership of it. So if there's any, I'm trying to set a meeting on that next week. So if there's actually local interest like that, that's something we could actually take directly to our people in Dallas. So
do these people realize that it's basically just a building, that it's pretty well stripped of everything?
Yeah.
Equipment-wise, I mean.
Yeah, they're looking to, Brian mentioned that a lot of producers, well, I think in the state of Indiana, 20 plus producers have received letters from Dean's. Other producers are having issues with their buyers in some cases, and they're just looking to vertically integrate. So they're looking for a facility where they might be able to do that. I'll know more after meeting next week. Talked about Lippert a little bit. They have confirmed for the job fair May 10th at Tippecanoe Valley High School. They also just announced that they're going to break ground on a 100,000 square foot facility in Goshen to build steel frames. I do have a meeting next week with an adjacent county. Was contacted by an individual who's in manufacturing business who has about 10 employees. He's looking to come to Fulton County because he doesn't like the way he's treated in the county he's in now. So we'll see how far that goes. But a lot of work on workforce, soft skills program, looking at possibilities for maybe extending community resource transpo because we have a couple of manufacturers that I've talked to that are not right in Rochester, but in the county, and they're just drawing people from a 5-mile radius. So they're looking to maybe use transpo to get people transported to their facilities for work. I've had 3 calls from realtors out of county, interest in property on the south side area. By that I mean around Walmart, Big R, that area. And then if I can report on the redevelopment commission side, the Nickel Plate Trail, we're finalizing design. I've got to get with Andy on what the lease between the city and Fulton County Railroad will look like, and then also what the easement to the rail provider, service provider, Elkhart Western will look like. So Andy, I'll be jingling you tomorrow probably. Also on redevelopment commission, but I still think we're on target for the June or July construction start date for that project. So hopefully the design will be finalized and we'll have it ready to put out for bid here within a couple of weeks. We are down a redevelopment commission member. Elliot Hazen has resigned just because he hasn't been able to make any of the meetings because of his business.
And that's a council appointee.
Council appointee.
So be thinking council members who like.
Very well.
Object. And last but not least, Safe Routes to School is an NDOT grant that we received a couple years ago that allows us to go near our schools and make some improvements, some infrastructure improvements. Ted, you had asked me about an award in Winnemac with some streets and lighting and things like that. That was an NDOT grant, but that was their general grant cycle. It wasn't tied to a program, but Safe Routes to School is one that we could actually, we're kind of in a position of having to spend that money down here within the next 90 days or so. So we have a plan for that, which includes more work at the middle school. I've been working with Lenny on some additional signage that we would like to place along Fulton Avenue and 4th Street. We've actually looked at 4th Street and Fulton Avenue as a place that we might want to put in a 4-way stop. Speaking of Fulton and 13th, Fulton and 4th is where a number of kids cross from the east side of Fulton to the west side of Fulton to get to school. It's only a stop sign if you're headed east-west, or not a stop north-south, so we think it would make sense to look at that area as a 4-way stop. And then I'm meeting with Gail Karras, who's involved with the 4-H fair this summer, that we might do something like help do a bike rodeo. We're trying to bring the high school track and cross country and the middle school PE classes into helping us get through some programs like a bike rodeo. So with the purpose of getting more kids walking and biking to school safely, reducing congestion and so forth around the school. So that's all I've got unless you have other questions for me.
You know, Terry, discussions outside the community with other folks in the industrial world. It's the first time in my tenure I've heard people talking about eliminating the requirement for drug testing and a GED or high school diploma to hiring people. It's pretty desperate out there for bodies to work.
I just had a high school senior at Tippecanoe Valley contact me, and actually I saw on Facebook he had posted, is anybody looking for summer work, and there was a lot of suggestions that he go to fast food or something like that, and I found out a little bit about him. He has some mechanical aptitude, was in the building trade school, and I sent out an email to my industry base, and I had 6 companies within 2 hours that said, if the kid's got a resume, send him over. He's 17, a high school senior. He graduates in December, and I had half a dozen companies that were like, yeah, I'm interested in talking to the kid. He's got mechanical aptitude, and he's been through the building trades program. Those hands-on skills are wanted for sure. So yeah.
They just had on the news, did you see on the news where they were talking about that there is actually an industry shift right now at looking at employment opportunities with high school students because of that reason, that I caught just snippets of it, but it was on, I think it was on CBS, that they did this interview about a paradigm shift, basically, and exactly what you're saying, that the high school students are bringing skills to the workforce that, some technology skills, things like that, like you were saying, automation, those types of things that are right now sometimes a little bit out of reach, the hands-on
internships, pathways. I had a meeting with Chancellor McCurdy from Ivy Tech today in Kokomo, and looks like they're committed to more vocational training finally. And I'm looking forward to working with them on those
Yeah, I got the same.
It was a big report from,
Yeah, and you're right, it's way overdue. We gotta catch up. Any questions? Thank you, sir. Good report.
You don't even wait for questions, just go.
Yeah, he's gone. Mason, how about the park board?
Park board, all right. Park board met April 9th. We did got our new high school representative, which is Grace Davey. So this was her first meeting, so.
Nice young lady.
Yep, she's here to have her on board. Summer Parks program will begin June 4th this year and run for 3 weeks. Sign-up sheets have been distributed to Columbia Riddle and the middle school and will be printed in the Sentinel. The cutoff for sign-up is April 30th. Sign-up sheet for the high school leaders are posted at high school, and they will start interviewing those leaders April 27th. At the pool, Lori's in the process of hiring people. She, by this point, has begun working in the pool. One thing we're looking at this year is filter covers that she will need to replace. There are, I think, 24 or 32 of them at $500 a piece. So she will be looking at replacing those a few at a time over the next few years. She does not know if they've ever been replaced. They've never been replaced in her time there. Said they've repaired them at times, but they're really starting to fall apart. So she's gonna just start taking the worst, maybe 4 or 5 this year, taking care of those and just getting them on a cycle so we don't get this situation again. Lenny already talked about what he's doing, so I won't go over that again. Except the mower. You got your new mower now, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
Got a new grasshopper. Lyle at the golf course, got in a weird situation there's some golf carts that need repaired. But apparently last year, one of the golf cart manufacturers, there's a recall, and so all of their techs are out on these recall jobs, so they have no one to come do repairs. So Lyle's had some of his guys, he just had to order parts and do the repairs himself. So they've been working on the carts. They did get all the fluorescent bulbs at the clubhouse replaced with LEDs. We approved the signage for the new hole markers. And started to spray applications, so that was about it.
Okay, any questions for Mason? Thank you, sir. Okay, the BZA and Council on Aging, Councilman Smith.
BZA meets tomorrow night. 2 things on the agenda: faith outreach, looking for a variance to attach a lean-to addition to the building, and Rochester Bagel is looking for a variance to put a new freestanding sign in their front. So that's tomorrow night. Council on Aging met yesterday. The Transpo report, they are averaging approximately 200 trips a day right now. They're using a temp driver for a few weeks, have an injured driver, so a little situation there. Sold a van and have received 1 new van and another new van coming sometime between June and August. The golf outing for the Council on Aging is June 19. I've reported on that before, but those that are interested. Senior games are scheduled for May 17. They are actively looking for additional advertisers for the sides of the vehicles. I'm sure you've seen the vans moving up and down the street, and there's some business advertised. I think that is something like $650. I don't have that in my head, but it's somewhere around that number. And for the RSVP, I saved this one for last this time. They're kind of in their grant cycle. They have submitted the large grant, $40,000 federal RSVP grant has been submitted. They have submitted a grant to the Women's Giving circle. They helped 60 individuals with their tax returns this year, and I believe they said something close to $24,000 in returns returns to those people were generated. But most proud of the volunteers for RSVP have created and made more than 80 blankets, and they are taking them down later this week and donating to Riley Children's Hospital. So that's a pretty neat thing that they have
Yes,
done
it is.
there.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So, if any questions, that's my report.
Are you and I competing in the cross-country run through the Council on Aging again this year?
Sure. What event do you want to do?
The cross-country run.
Okay, all right.
Okay. No, I would like to have you take a look, check with Georgia if you would, and see if you two are available on Monday the 30th. You and I go over and have lunch with them, if that'd be all right. Talk about her situation with the grounds and such that she wanted to discuss.
Monday the 30th.
Monday the 30th. That would work.
That works for me too, so, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions for Councilman Smith? All right. Solid Waste and Animal Adoption Center, Councilman Thompson.
No meeting for the solid waste, nothing to report.
Oh, boy. You lucked out, huh?
It was actually nice.
Any questions for Jason? Very good, very
Oh,
good. Hey, John, Water Board.
There we are. Back on the water board, you know. And the main backup generator for the water plant was not working properly. They need to replace the batteries, and the H panel needed to replace as well. All parts were replaced, and the generator is now operating back to normal. The request was approved, as they do every year or so, as the 2-year-old checks and older checks for the water department. As of December 13th, 2017, totaling amount of $450.89 was presented to the board. Derek also asked for the approval to avoid the 2-year-old and older checks that the board approved during the February 5th meeting. That was also amount of $450.89 for the general funds. And Martin made a motion with a second from Carolyn and a third from Keith, and it passed 3-0. An update was presented to the board that John Jackson's last day with the water department was April 3rd. And that, this down here, I was really surprised because somebody else was taking a vacation besides Terry. He's not here, and he'll be But yeah, that's it. That was the end of the meetings and what was needed to be done. John Jackson's last day was on April the 3rd. There was no old business.
I'll be sure to let Terry know you were concerned about his vacation.
He knows how he's feeling about it. It would be right if I didn't.
Okay, any questions for John? All right, moving right along. Harry, how about the RDP update?
A little show and tell. This is official.
Oh, I got your new walker?
New walker, yeah. This is our new bike rack made out of aluminum, made locally with
That's nice.
Craig's Welding, doing the aluminum, and Hoffman Body Shop did the sandblasting, and Rochester rotational molding. Or not, oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Payback.
Would you like to hold that up for the television camera, Harry? Let everybody at home take a look at it and see.
Zoom in real close, there you go. Nice.
And who did that powder coating again? What was that? Is that?
Rochester Metal Port? No. But actually, it came out very nice, and it came in at, I think we're going to be around $175 a piece, which is $200 cheaper than we could have ordered for a piece. So we got.
So we'll be getting some money back.
Well, you haven't given us any money yet, so you're not getting anything back.
Try, what it?
Nice
I
try.
wanted for that to be completed first.
Uh-huh.
We have 20 of these coming, and we have potential locations for about 15. So there's about 5 extras. So if the city hall wants one, or you want some around the parks, some places, any city property that's outside the downtown that you would want one, like a golf course or something like that, we could.
Have you talked to Pia over at the bagel shop?
No.
When she was in giving her presentation, she was talking about bike traffic.
Yes, she wanted one of those.
She wanted one of the, yeah. So.
She had already decided that she wanted one, so give her a jingle.
Now, Harry, is that on each end of the bike rack or just one? I mean.
Well, you can't read, obviously, depends on which side you're on, you're gonna be able to read the Rochester.
Right, but I mean, aren't there 2 of those to make a bike rack?
Nope, this is basically gonna sit, the way it's gonna be designed, the layout that we're gonna be doing downtown is there's gonna be a bench,
Okay,
and then either a trash can or a flower planter on one end.
okay.
The bench kind of recessed back, and then this will sit kind of
Oh,
perpendicular to the
okay.
bench, so if somebody comes up with a bike, they can tie it up, if they want to sit there. And most of them are gonna go at the restaurants, so most of these are located in.
So it will only accommodate one bike?
2 bikes, one on each side.
Okay.
Is really what's intended for. It's a bike loop. It's not intended to be like you'd see at a school where they got zillions of bikes, but most of them are just to keep a bike off from some kid laying it over on the sidewalk or something like that.
Down on that bike.
Butts is gonna have 3 of them. Everybody else is gonna have 1. The main thing to report on today is the MSRP program. And we have, a couple weeks ago on Friday, Matt Jacobs came to town, and from 7 in the morning till 8 at night, her and I met with 18 different building owners and went through what the whole program was and solicited to see if they wanted to be part of it. There was a requirement that we kind of had a meeting with the mayor and kind of came up with the idea of getting them to commit kind of do an application, get some skin in the game early, so we know for sure we're not just spinning our wheels. And so we created a $500 application fee that would go towards their building match. The way this program is laid out is there's 2 phases. Phase 1 is kind of the application and design phase, to where the architect will be coming into the community, meeting with a business owner, figuring out what their needs are. I mean, they've already she's done this initial assessment, but she would come in and create a schematic drawing, very basic diagram of what the building could look like and what some of those architectural features would cost. And she would provide them with a cost estimate. It's about a $1,500, if you had to hire an architect to come in and do something like that for any kind of application, it would cost about $1,500, and that's really the cost that the city has committed at this point. The city has pledged $20,000, and basically it's to hire this architect for phase 1. At that point, they will take all, if the building owner is willing to go ahead, past just getting a nice picture, pretty picture, and a cost estimate, they would then commit 20% of the project cost minimum. It may be more if their project exceeds $25,000, and their match is gonna be higher. They will commit their match, which would then be held in an escrow account that you established tonight. And then all those projects are gonna be put together and put into a application for the program. So that's phase 1, and that's what the grant writer and that we already have on board that isn't costing anything, and Matt Jacobs' job would be. If Oprah grants us the grant, then the schematic phase happens. It then comes back and they said, okay, you've been awarded it for these buildings. Then she would take those projects and create blueprints essentially of what is going to be needed to be construction bid documents for. That would outline all the historic preservation requirements. Every one of the projects goes in front of national landmarks to make sure that it's following proper guidelines, proper materials, that kind of thing are being used. And then all that gets bundled and bid in phase 2 to one contractor. It would be awarded if we get, through this process, the very first pass through. Construction would begin in next summer, 2019. Anyway, we have sent out that initial commitment letter requesting to see if they are interested in having the architect look at their building, and we've received 12 responses back so far, paid the $500. I gave those checks today to Shada. And we have 4 more verbally pledged. It's on the handout here, I passed you out. The dugout is a potential sale. It's still kind of in limbo, but it looks like that's progressing. Eden is interested. I still haven't received her check. Nikki said Nikki's out of town, but she is going to give me a check tomorrow. And the Times Theater is also committed to this project. I just haven't received their funds yet. Their project is a little different. We're allocating $120,000 for the marquee. So that is going to be kind of a separate part of the $600,000 award. Assuming all these happen, the way the money is going to be matched is the first $25,000 of the project, 80% of it would be covered by grant dollars. So for $25,000 worth of work, a building owner could pay $5,000 and have a $25,000 renovation. For the next $25,000, it'll be probably a 50-50 match. So they would put in 12.5 and the grant would put in 12.5. And then we will probably be then out of grant dollars. That'll probably exceed the whole amount of money we have. If some additional, we're going to be doing a fundraising campaign. If we are successful in raising some additional money, then we might be able to extend that match up past the $50,000 limit. We still are waiting on a few more possible buildings. I'm still thinking our number when we actually do this is probably for the phase 1 phase. I think she's going to be in here to do 19 to 20 buildings. Out of that, we're probably going to see 15 to 16 projects move forward. I think everybody is very excited and willing, and the way this thing is structured, the match really is helping a lot of people. I've been kind of amazed at some of the building owners, how the ones that I kind of thought would be dragging their heels are actually first to commit. They are so on board, so that's encouraging. And I think it's just really going to be a huge stimulus for people just to move forward. A lot of people want to know, we've had conversations, I've always wanted to do something, I just don't know what to do. Yes, I can set aside $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to invest in this. I just never really know what to do. And they just want to get on board and join on. So we have roughly $320,000 in what the building owners have said they have available. So it could be we'll easily hit the 20% match, and it looks like we might be even 30 or 40% match, which will score very highly. I think I covered most of it. Any questions on the MSRP?
I'm really glad to see you get 12 folks only up $500. Now they have some skin in the game. The agreement that Pat Jacobs has sent over, Andy is reviewing it right now. What I read today, she's talking about phase 1. Her services for $19,500 would take care of 18 properties. So if there's 20, 21, 22, 23, where are you going to get the rest of that money?
Well, I hope we could just use that $6,000. Well, right now we've got $6,000 that have come in from the building owners.
Go towards that.
We can use that to pay for this.
Refresh my memory. What was she saying per property?
$1,500 a property.
$1,500.
If I think it exceeds 18 or 19 properties. Is it 18?
It was 18.
Yeah, we're going to be right there. We might hit 19.
Right, Andy? 18.
I believe it's 18. We got 12 plus 4, so that's 16. Dr. Hoff is probably going to put a couple properties in, so that gets it to 18. WROI, I'd have to think they're going to do it, so that might get us to 19. The way I think we could do it is we have that extra $6,000, well, it'll be more than that, but $8,000 of building owner money, we can use that to pay for additional fee for that one building or two buildings. And we'll still have enough money, even though that is technically building owner match, we're still gonna have enough match dollars to qualify on the second phase because of, you know, fundraising and most building owners, like the bigger buildings, like Dr. Hoff Properties, the Sentinel, WRY, those projects are going to probably be bigger than the 50,000, so their match percentages are gonna, you know, be up, and that will help the whole project score. So,
Are these people clear on the fact that phase one, and by the way, it's same for our $20,000 contribution, is non-refundable?
right,
If the grant isn't obtained, they don't get their money back, we don't get any money back. That's just a,
yeah.
but they get what, a drawing?
But our 20,000 covers all the architect costs, right?
For the project?
Yeah, for phase one.
For phase one.
So then all this money, this $500 a piece that we're collecting, where does that go if we don't get it?
It sits in this escrow account, if, you know, potentially we would reapply. They're not getting the $500 back.
Yeah.
It would be, you know, then it would mean the city didn't really spend $20,000, what that's gonna mean. If we end up not doing anything at all,
That was
or,
my point, we're gonna be getting roughly 10,000 back. So if we don't get it, we're kind of splitting the difference, we're out 10.
yeah.
Well, that doesn't, it goes in an escrow account for the next time you apply, correct?
Correct. You wouldn't have to do phase one again.
The same grant, it's offered, what, twice a year?
Yeah, it's offered twice a year. You would not have to, I mean, maybe there's another building, you know, you go to, let's say you don't get it the first time, you decide, okay, we're gonna apply next phase. 99% of your work's done. You might be,
I just want to make sure they understand that the 500 doesn't guarantee that it's gonna.
the contract they signed says, by signing below, payment of $500 fee, you are declaring your interest in submitting your building for consideration in City of Rochester's application for participation in MSRP grant. Preliminary design documents for proposed renovation for each participating building are required as part of the formal application to OKRA. The requested $500 application fee will help defray costs associated with the architect fees and to prepare these documents. The city has committed a maximum of $20,000 of economic development tax monies to be used for soft costs associated with this process. The $500 paid by you will be applied to your required match upon grant award. If the city does not receive the grant, your payment will be used to pay preliminary design documents. In a PDF format, the document will be given to you for future renovation. The $500 application fee is non-refundable. So basically, they're getting these.
They're getting a sketch that they would normally pay $1,500. Okay.
City of Rochester's helped them get a sketch.
Okay.
Which they could then use for historic preservation grant that I applied for, you know, individual building, they could use that sketch for that, or any other time that they decide to work on their building.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, then it's understood that if the grant doesn't come through, you're still getting value for
Yep.
what you've invested.
This guarantee the project is a guarantee the project being awarded or that you will receive any project funding. The City of Rochester and Rochester Downtown Partnership participation is limited to assisting and coordinating in the application process only. So I think it's pretty clear, and they've all had that explained to them, and, you know, they all said, well, what do you think our odds are of getting it? They all know that there's a risk that we may not ever get it. They're willing to put $500 in to find out if they're gonna get $20,000.
Very good.
We have signed a Rochester Downtown Partnership has signed a memorandum of understanding with the City of Rochester. So basically what that allows us to do is pay for the bike racks, and then the City of Rochester will pay us and we'll provide invoices of everything we paid. Does that need a motion?
No, because the council's already approved it. This was just a recommendation for from the State Board of Accounts.
Are we installing those?
Bike racks? Reddy's. Chris is gonna send a guy over to help do these.
Okay.
They're gonna be, they're gonna be, we changed the design of them by his recommendation. These are gonna be core drilled into the sidewalk. There's no plate at the bottom to screw into or to hit with a snow shovel. They're gonna be core drilled in and epoxied. That way it keeps, if the sidewalk has got a slope to it, the rack's not sitting like this. It'll sit straight up and down, and it'll be a cleaner finish, nothing to rust. And if you need to remove it at a later date, he says you can just cut around the epoxy and remove the rack. So he seemed to think that was the way to go, so we kind of trusted his judgment on that. And he is providing the drill and the guy to do it, so that's very nice.
And I apologize, the same way with the benches. During the initial council meeting, you had mentioned there were some service organizations that were gonna volunteer some help to install the benches and stuff, and we got those in, correct?
We have not got that lined up, but yeah, we'll have to, that is gonna take a couple bolts, some kind of.
Because they'll need to coordinate.
We've talked with Fastenal, and they're gonna provide us with fasteners, we're gonna buy some fasteners from them, and they're all rust proof, and we're gonna make sure the bench isn't gonna be removable.
Right, well, and we want to coordinate with Lenny, because making sure that there's no issue with snow removal and that kind of stuff, so as long as it's all coordinated with him as well.
We kind of gone through and made some initial thought process of where we want. We met with the building owners if they want one or not, and but yeah, we can meet with Lenny and see.
Yeah, that way, because like I said, because I knew you had your preliminary drawing, but a final conversation, just like I said, because of trash receptacles, snow removal, those kinds of things, something we wouldn't think of that he may.
Most situations, the benches are going to be sitting kind of near the curb, facing the street. Probably 3 feet, 4 feet back from the curb, so cars won't pull in. When their front tire hits the curb, they're not going to be hitting the bench or in that area, but enough room that the pedestrians will still be able to, walk up and down the sidewalk without. And we're going to position them like with the tree planters. A lot of times, if there's a tree, it's going to be near that, so it's kind of a nice little shaded area.
Well, not to be facetious, but here's how we started this meeting out tonight. Casey, do you need anything on this? Is there any permit to be waived or anything?
No, it's in your right of way,
Okay.
so that's your baby.
Thank you, Casey.
There you go.
You're welcome.
That's your baby.
But we can get with Lenny and walk through where we're thinking, and we're gonna have to coordinate. I want to try to get it to where we don't have to get Craig Willie guys in here too many times. I'd like to get them to be able to do as many of them as possible. So if you have some additional locations besides the bagel shop, you want them, the extra.
She just made that statement the other day, and
You want
she
one
wanted
here?
one.
You want one here at City Hall?
Yes, please.
Okay.
You want it over by this door over here or on the front?
Yeah.
Oh, up front, so people can see it.
I was gonna say, it's kind of a toss-up. Most people park back here, but I think out front would be more visible.
Show it off.
When people ride their bike in the Big Water Bill or come in the City Hall,
Yeah, some, not often.
yeah, you need a bench or you want a bench out there?
No. No.
I don't think you
No,
need
we
it.
do not need a bench out there, no. Do we, Andy?
I'll defer to your expertise, but I would recommend no.
They are reviewing.
Wait, they seem to catch us as it is, there's no waiting.
I don't know, we'll figure out the location for the bike ride.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more of a set of bleachers outside.
Yeah, bleachers, yeah. Tina, I don't know anybody coming in to pay their water bill on their bike, they just drive right up to the drive-up with it.
Yes,
don't
they do.
Yeah. They do, yeah.
Well, if somebody does ride a bike up and has to meet, they'll give a place to tie it up to.
Yeah.
You should have all received an invitation in the mail. We're having a fundraising event May 11th, it's Mother's Day weekend on Friday, 5 to 7. And we encourage all of you to come and hear about RDP and show support for what we're doing. We're just going to have just refreshments and social 2 hours. Talking, there'll be representatives there from the whole board. There'll be people there from promotions and design and here and see what we've got going on. We'll be talking about this, we'll be talking about everything, so. We have invited, it is invitation only, but obviously you can RSVP a guess, as many guesses you want to bring, really. But, just give us a number so we know. And also, we're encouraging people to dine downtown afterwards. We're also trying to get a head count of how many people want to dine afterwards, like 50 at Giretti's or something, so we can give a number. So she can accommodate. Doesn't have to be Giretti's, so it can be any place downtown. Have a new logo. It's on the letterhead. You probably saw that in the paper. And before we talk about the bike racks and benches. Oh, there it is. Modern materials right there on that screen. Living Local Fest and Parade is June 30th. Probably know that date. Just wanted to put it out there. Any other questions?
What time is the parade, Harry? Do we know?
Maybe noonish.
Maybe noonish.
10 o'clock.
10
Last
o'clock?
time, though, when Amy was here, she said 11. I thought they wanted to start time.
Just let me know.
I think the festival kind of goes before it, then there's the parade, and then there's going to
My
be.
understanding was the parade, yeah, the festival, it runs from 10 to 2, but the parade was supposed to start at 11 unless they've changed it. That was the last they said at the last meeting.
Could be.
Yeah, you weren't
think
here.
you had to run out.
Didn't we tell her to touch base with Andy
Yes,
on all that?
they were told to touch base with you.
We're having board
We're
meeting
not.
Friday, I'll make sure they
Yeah.
give you an update
Yeah.
on it.
Let me know.
Yeah, he's rather.
The parade goes in conjunction with the chamber, so
Yeah,
it's kind of their baby, but,
Kind of the
Yeah.
important part.
Yeah, but yeah.
and then the Lake Association's having their ski show in the afternoon,
Yep.
so kind of trying to make the whole community day out of it. And just a couple comments on the historic reservation corridor variance thing, I think just to get everybody on what one, just kind of refresh our thoughts on why we did it and so forth, but, you know, the intent really is these building owners, we're gonna have $1 million investment coming to downtown, and the intent is to try to protect the value that these building owners are putting in. Now that, I think, so really on an exception like that, you basically, a couple thoughts are, is this building historically relevant? That one probably not. And would what they're doing gonna hurt the value of somebody else next door or something? If there is a way to make it historically relevant, I'd hope that we encourage them to do that. We've got grant programs and facade, local facade money, we've got this, we've got Oprah money for bigger projects to encourage and help building owners make the building follow the right historic preservation. That has nothing to do with this project today, but I would hope if there's a question, somebody doesn't follow the rules, then they could, if they would go to Casey's office, then it could come to us for us to possibly at least look at it and see if there's some way of improving what they're trying to do. In this case, probably nothing. I'd be delighted to death if they just don't park vehicles on the sidewalk in the future like they have for years. So, I think it's going to be great what he's doing, but I think really the premise is just to maintain the look and feel of the downtown as it was originally built.
And that's why I pulled it up, to look at street views. Yeah, I see it all the time, but I don't really look at it.
Yeah.
Because, it's not a historically relevant building.
Yeah. And really the cost of making it historically relevant is much more money than, maybe even less than putting some fake material on it. That's what we're dealing with now, from the fake materials that were put on in the 60s and 70s. That's really what's going to be removed in this process in a lot of cases. Sometimes what is initially thought to be a good idea, covering the Cook Building, for instance, has really changed the look now, and now it looks extremely dated.
All righty. Okay, the legal concerns, Andy, we need to, how about the 4th Street easement situation, how we coming along?
Well, before we started, you and I had plans to meet with one of the property owners who's been out of state, wants to call us on Wednesday. Most have been pretty receptive to it. A few have had questions here and there about how far the curb's going to extend. closing in the north side is more important because that's where the sidewalk is going and we're asking from the center of the road for a sidewalk right of way. The existing road easement is already 18 feet, so most of that is already there. For the ones on the south side, we're seeking those. I don't believe they are as essential because, again, what the engineers told us is they 15 feet from the center of the road, the existing is 18. And so I think I'm confident we can do what we need to do on the south side without any, so we've kind of made the north ones a priority. But we're closing in, I think we only have a couple of those left, so.
Okay. Check your schedule. I mean, if you can't make it, but May the 4th, which is a Friday at 10 o'clock, Donahue's and their engineers and David Heidi with E&B, we're meeting here for a meeting to go over some of the details that are still hanging.
Yeah, I think I did.
Okay. No ADA concerns. And I think we've covered everything, folks. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Those in favor signify by.
Not everybody can second.
Okay, thank you very much.